So in the last video, I went over a plethora of reasons for behavior. And I talked about
persecuted by the scum of this land.
clips like that. And how, you'll behave in a certain way when you're being harassed, especially group harassed. The more people harassing you, the more it's going to mess with your head. And that's why they don't just assign one person to do it. They assign a lot of people to do it. So one thing I didn't touch on enough was that it's not just the ruling class, it's also the psychologists and the psychiatrists, who have been saying things for quite some time. Do they want to admit, well, part of the problem in society is how psychiatrists and psychologists contribute to society. They're contributing really to the New World Order, and it's oppressing people. They don't want to say that. They want you to trust them. You think they would rather say, this is partially, this is for the most part, perhaps this is our fault for playing stupid and helping them oppress you, and that's why you're upset. Or, you know what? You were born this way. It's a result of your family heritage, and it's not anyone's fault. When they say it's not anyone's fault, what they're really saying is the eugenics argument. This is not your fault. It's your parents' fault for being dumb enough to have a child when they are inferior forms of life who should have been eliminated. That's what they're really saying. Let's not kid ourselves. That's what they're saying. This is hereditary. According to them, it's hereditary. There's genetic components. It's not your fault. It's your fucking parents. They're inferior scum, and they had no business having a child. But if you let us do eugenics in the future, we will save a lot of people from suffering the way you do. Very, very evil, very sinister. Very, very sinister. Another example is, I don't know how well you can see it, I have a little bit of redness under my eyes from the poison oak. Okay? Powerful stuff. Poison oak has actually gotten worse over the years. And some people blame global warming. And I think they're climate change as far as a result of pollution and, different factors. And, when you reduce the rainforest, when you reduce the forest, there's more animals crowding less space. So that then, the plants have to increase their defense mechanisms. That's another component, regardless how big or small. So yeah, So anyway, people will walk down the street, they'll see it and say, somebody socked them in the face. No, someone might laugh, especially if they're stalkers, right? It's another example of how I know better about what's going on with me than they do. They'll say, well, empirical evidence shows everything. There's perspectives on that. I have the best perspective. I know how this got here better than anyone does. And doctors know that. They always, regardless what kind of doctor, they always ask you, how did you get that? Even when I got this cut on my finger, how did you get that cut on your finger? You might think, well, why does it fucking matter? You see my skin is split a certain way. You can diagnose it without me telling you. It does matter. Because there's complications from that. It could be from a poison fucking animal. It could be from, poison weapon. It could, it could be from a rusty, you might need a tetanus shot, and so on and so forth. So your perspective absolutely matters. And how they discount it, how they downplay it is absolutely reprehensible. And I'd like to end this with saying one last thing. Last time I was in a psych ward, because I'm a political dissident who was arguing with my parents and was set up to go to the psych ward, provoked. And if you watch all the videos up to this one, you'll see that I have proven that definitively. There was a vote in one of the groups. Part of how I know a lot about mental health is I've been in many, many different groups. Cognitive behavioral therapy, DBT, recreational therapy, and so on. It's a group therapy, and on and on. Okay. So there was a vote. And we said, well, how many of you think that we don't really care about you? This is all about money and so on. About 80 or 90% of the people in the room raised their hands. And mental health guys, they look kind of sad, like, oh, how could you think that of us? Another way that to enforce social control, guilt trip you. They put the trip in guilt trip, because if you fall for it, they're basically knocking the feet from under you, knocking you off your feet, tripping you up. So when I looked at who didn't raise their hands, some of the people who were the most out of touch on medication, some of the people who perhaps might have really had a mental illness, who really didn't know what to think, and people that I suspected of being planted there by mental health to make sure things go smoothly and to inform on other people and whatnot. So yes, there is an overwhelming amount of evidence and logic. Remember, life pretty much runs on logic. When you discount logic, pretty much all is lost. When society stops functioning in a logical way based on the most accurate studies and facts, based on facts, then it falls apart. And vultures pick at the dead. And that's what you're seeing. People are dead inside, they're soulless, and a bunch of demons are preying on them, picking at their bones. They are serpents because what does a serpent do? It bites you, right? It injects poison into your body. It penetrates your body and it injects poison and it kills you over a period of time. They're serpents because they invaded your body, your temple, with poisonous food and drugs and pills and so on. And they're doing mind control on you. They're penetrating your temple and killing you slowly. They are vipers. They are wolves because in sheep's clothes, because they collaborate together and they pretend to be Christians and doctors and lawyers and police officers, the people that you might turn to for help. It is key to control anyone you may turn to for help in order to truly control you. Now, isn't it? Isn't that the part of the plan to defeat ISIS? Isolate, degrade them, erode them, break them down, attack them every way, economically, politically, psychologically, so on. These things are key. They are in league with the devil, who is the great serpent, the great liar. Okay, he is the biggest, baddest serpent that penetrates you. When a Komodo dragon, for example, bites you, its saliva is so horrible that your body has trouble healing itself. Some of the nastiest scars are from Komodo dragon bites because its saliva is just acidic and just destructive. Yeah. The great fucking serpent breathes fire. And we are made up of mostly water. The devil breathes the anti-human substance, fire. And so on and so forth. So even if you were just to say, the devil doesn't exist and, whatever, all these things still apply. There's something out there that is the greatest evil at any given time, the greatest evil that's affecting us at any given time. If you're not religious, you say, well, it's a person, whatever it is. Okay, you can say that that's synonymous with the devil. Okay, me personally, I believe that there's a devil, but in a way, it's not important when it comes to getting to the bottom of this scientifically. Because I present things scientifically with valid sources, and then I give you my religious perspective on them. Okay? And that is the most appropriate way to address the problems in society. You can't just say, well, it's spirits, and let's just not try to stop it. Let's just pray. You have to address it scientifically, and then also impress upon people your religious perspectives, your religious views. Well, I'd like to end this with one last clip. Because remember, and I wanted to say this before I do. Does the fact that I'm playing this clip over and over again, mean that it's because I'm playing this clip over and over again? Does it show that because I'm playing this clip over and over again, that I'm delusional, and that's the problem. The problem is I'm playing this clip over and over again. Not everything that I've just thoroughly and concisely and articulately presented, but because I'm playing this clip over and over again. That is psychiatrist's argument.
Persecuted by the scum of this land. Persecuted by the scum of this land.
Is that feeding my delusion and it automatically negates or nullifies all the facts that I presented, all the logical arguments that I have presented? Does that automatically nullify them all? No. You see how ridiculous what they are insinuating is. See how immoral it is to chop it up to such a irrelevant thing. Whether or not I play these clips or not, it doesn't change the facts. Whether or not I spend all day researching it or not, you know, to them, the more you research it, if you are a victim of government harassment, gang stalking, covert experimentation, covert harassment, covert drugging, etc., you know, the more you research it, the more delusional you are. Well, you're feeding into your delusion. You could bury yourself in books that prove it definitively, and they say, well, it's because he's reading these books. That's their argument. Go back to the video where I show you the clip from CBS Atlanta, I believe it is, the article from CBS Atlanta. That's their argument. That the problem is that these people keep reading valid sources and it feeds into the delusion. Yeah, that's the problem in about 0.00001% of the cases. I'll give you that. But is that the problem here? No. No. In fact, the people who are saying that is the problem, ironically, are part of the problem. Thank you.